in the first half. So that's how things have gone today. There'll also be replays at Bristol City against Shrewsbury. That finished 1-1 earlier. Rochdale got an equaliser to take Newcastle to a replay at St James's Park. Cardiff and Carlisle, they will go again, as will Reading and Blackpool, and Watford and Tranmere too. And then there's loads more fixtures that are happening tomorrow, including that Merseyside derby, of course, Liverpool against Everton. It will be Middlesbrough against Tottenham, and on Monday, Arsenal against Leeds in the pick of some of the other games still to come in the third round. But the good news is for Leicester City, they are done, dusted, safely through to that next round. It wasn't a classic. It won't be talked about for years to come. But Matt, case of job done.
Yeah, the required result was achieved, wasn't it? Leicester through to the next round. Pretty straightforwardly. Not much to say about the second half, in truth. We're going to have to drag this next 55 minutes or so out. Here comes Jerry, the bag man. All wrapped up. Well done, mate. You did well commentating on that second half. It just drifted out, didn't it? Really dwindled away, didn't it? Really, the hard work was done. They got a little bit of the rub of the green, maybe, Leicester, but nothing they didn't deserve. With the own goal and the deflection, you look at it, it's just, and the VAR goal, it was offside, only by 2-3 inches or so, but end of the day, rules are rules, aren't they? It just didn't quite go Wigan's way, went Leicester, but Leicester always had those extra gears if necessary. Yeah,
we talked about control at half-time, Nev, and that's what continued in the second half. Nothing spectacular, but controlled enough.
Yeah, they were never in real danger, except when the goal went in, and it was disallowed for VAR. That really was the only opportunity that Wigan had, and it's a forgettable game in many ways. But from Leicester's point of view, as Jerry said, as Matt said, it's job done. They're in the fourth round. Their only problems really for Brendan Rodgers is the injuries to the centre halves. Where he's had sort of 4 centre halves that he's having to be trying out. Now he's down to 2 possibly. Wes Morgan, you can't tell. It looked, I think Matt said knee. It might have been knee or groin, and I'm not quite sure what happened with Benkovic, but
Benkovic was the knee.
Wasn't he seemed to be all right when he was walking off. But it's that's the only little problem. But really, it was. I wouldn't say they coasted it, but they didn't have to go into top gear, did they?
Yeah, we'll ask Brendan Rodgers in a short while. We've sent Dan Bates down to the tunnel area to get some reaction to the game, so we'll find out how Wes Morgan and Benkovic are doing after those injuries. Karen says, well done, boys. Janice says the same, and also Samuel says, come on, you foxes. Alejandro says, come on, next. He's up for the cup quite clearly. Quality performance, lads, says Michael, and Kirk says, top effort from Barnes and Mendy today. Come on, you Blues. Alan says, way to go, boys. No easy games in cup football unless you play Forest, of course. Alan, claws away, my friend. Jerry, in the second half, we had that VAR goal, of course, ruled out for Wigan. But was that a little bit of a wake-up call for Leicester, who maybe just took their foot off the gas slightly?
Yeah, probably. And I think you've seen that with a substitution Brendan made with Ndidi coming on not long after that. I think they probably got away with one. I think at this stage of the FA Cup, especially when you're coming up against a championship, let's call them lower league side than Leicester. It's about getting through. It's about doing enough. Sometimes you're not going to be at your best. You're not going to, have a swashbuckling performance and wipe the opposition away. It's just about getting through the next round. And Leicester did that, but it could have been slightly worse at least if that goal had stood, because then you're thinking, well, the momentum's of Wigan. Brendan Rodgers is called, probably going to have to be called in to bringing on maybe 1 or 2 more of his substitutions when he probably didn't want to. He's already had to replace. Well, he couldn't in effect because he'd already replaced 2 of his centre halves, so that could have become an issue later on in the game. But thankfully, as you said, he's just seen the game out. It was unspectacular in the main, but with some decent flourishes in and along the journey tonight. So all in all, I think he'll be satisfied. He'll be pretty pleased. But more importantly, he's in the hat for the next round. That's the most important thing at this stage of the season. It'll be different as the rounds go on, let's say.
Yvonne says, great news and well done. Paul says, another great result. Well done, Foxes. Nick says, nice result. Job done. Lee is in LA. Nice stuff, lads. Chris says, good result now for Aston Villa in the semi-final next week. Brendan building a strong group to compete in all competitions. And James says, well done, Leicester. Another professional performance sees us through to the next round. For the second game on the trot, we appear to have wiped out the opposition's fitness, forcing them into finishing with Leicester being far stronger at the end. And fitness is a massive thing with this side, Nev, by the looks of it. We talked about how sharp they have seemed. And when you're now at the start of January, after the hectic time in December, you don't want to see anything more than that, do you?
No, as I say, Leicester have been fortunate all season. But you've got to hand that down to the manager, though, that they haven't really had any serious injuries or, they haven't lost key players. Vardy's been out for a couple of games and, with a slight problem, but it looks though he should be all right for next week. And, your reserve centre-backs have been injured tonight. But interestingly enough, on a sort of a coldish night, probably their lack of games, certainly Benkovic, it must be his first game for quite a long time, that might be partly responsible for the way he's got injured, because in these conditions, because it wasn't a game that was cut and thrust. They didn't have to really, go into top throttle or anything like that. So I think they might be, hopefully, touch wood, niggles more than major injuries. So Brendan Rodgers will be happy enough. I mean, 9 changes down at West Ham, 10 changes again tonight. He'll be delighted he's been able to change the squad around and protect certain players, give them the rest, and I think we'll see a much stronger side out on Wednesday.
Well, Neil says comprehensive win from a predominantly second 11. Good to give fringe players a run out. I don't know. Fringe is a fair term with this squad. They seem to be able to interchange, and they're all on the same hymn sheet, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a squad. They're a squad for a reason. They're playing for a reason. The only fringe player you could probably talk about is Benkovic, who's not featured whatsoever this season, and Mendy possibly as well, who up until 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was, or 10 days, whatever it was, I can't remember, hadn't featured this season. But the rest of them are all part of Brendan Rodgers' plans, and that tonight. And West Ham have proved that when he does rotate and change players up and changes formations, and the players that come in, are doing the job for Brendan. Who's to say that if he had played a full strength that, the outcome wouldn't have been the same, or the performance wouldn't have been the same? Because as I said to you before, it's just about getting through these games. Sometimes just doing enough is good enough, as long as you're in the hat, and I think that was the case tonight.
Well, it's fascinating tonight that he went in without a recognised striker.
Exactly, and Harvey Barnes I thought was excellent. Well, I'll give him man of the match for that because I'd
agree.
He was he was the cause of all the issues the majority of the issues for Wigan. Apart from scoring, he's put pressure on the young fullback who had a bit of a disaster, bless him. But he'll learn from that. But that was all down to Harvey Barnes. And his running off the ball, his channel run, his hold-up play, his link-up play, everything was really, really impressive tonight for someone who's not recognised as a centre-forward.
He looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good in that position.
Especially when you see late on in the game, again, this comes down to the fitness, that run from inside his own half. Yeah. I know he kind of wanted to finish it himself, even though it was a bit of a tight angle, but that's the confidence he has. But that's what we saw, didn't we? When he went out on loan to West Brom, he was getting a hatful of goals from doing very similar things, Matt, getting the ball deep and really running at defences.
Yeah, and I think that game has come at a good time for him because I could see signs of confidence sort of creeping away or ebbing away, just very slightly. And there's one or two sort of moans of frustration from the crowd more than anything. And because we kept saying, "Oh, it's just going to click for him soon. It's going to click," and it hasn't. really. So he's sort of taken him out of the firing line for a little bit and then giving him another opportunity there, albeit in an unorthodox position. But yeah, he slotted in really well and he got a goal. Okay, it was a bit of a deflection. You could see the relief on him and almost embarrassment a little bit, wasn't it? You know, the celebration wasn't that wild because of the nature of the goal, but he's done well to get in that position. And as Jerry says, he was a threat all night. The centre halves didn't know, whether they didn't fancy going in behind with him, so they were dropping off. Then he had the awareness to come a bit short and get on the ball and turned. Link up play that Jerry was saying, little touches round the corner. It was good. It was quality performance from him. They're doing a world of good, and hopefully he can just get himself back on track now because there's a proper player in there.
Well, Brendan Rodgers will be excited with that as well. The fact that we keep saying who replaces Vardy if Vardy's out. Ian Atcho's you go to, but actually, okay, well, remember when Harvey Barnes did that job in the Cup, and he's got that to look at as well.
Yeah, well, it's another string to his bow. It's a bit like Christian Fuchs playing centre half, isn't it? Tonight, we've lost 2 centre halves. He sticks Christian in there, tidy job. Yep. We've seen him play there in a 3-man centre half, and so that's just another string to his bow. It's just keeping things fresh, just keeping players fresh, just keeping them focused, just keeping them on their toes. It's keeping people like Ian Atcho. We don't have to speak about Jimmy Vardy in that way because he's always, he's always on form. He's always hungry, but it just gives Brendan Rodgers another string to his bow just in case Ian Atcho's having an off week or an off day. If Jimmy Vardy isn't available, these things come along. Hopefully not for Leicester, but if they do, then he's got something up his sleeve. He's got a plan B or a plan C.
The interesting thing, I don't know whether you would agree, but when I first saw the team sheet, my thought was that, Damari Gray will play down the middle.
Yes, I thought that because I've seen Damari. So initially I thought that myself.
Yeah, well, at the end, I mean, he decided to go with Barnes, so he's done that for a reason. And it must be to have a look how good Barnes is going down the middle, because he's tried Gray and it hasn't worked. And you've got to say, I mean, Jerry's made him man of the match, and I think he's quite right. But if it was a shootout tonight between Barnes and Gray for a starting spot, say on Wednesday, I think Barnes has won it hands down, hasn't he?
I think what he gives you, which is similar to what Jamie Vardy gives you, is he wants to stretch in behind. He wants to run in behind constantly. And number 2, he has the fitness levels to do that. We've seen it tonight. He's done it for 90 minutes non-stop.
He's got pace.
Obviously he's got the pace, he's got the fitness levels, and he's got the willingness to do it, a la Jimmy Vardy. And I think that's probably why you've seen him play down the middle instead of Damari Gray.
In the opening half of the season, Leicester kept winning. We praised the team, we praised the management. And then it was only till December that you're thinking, okay, now this is probably the biggest challenge they've had. Such a congested amount of games, a defeat to take on board, 2 defeats back-to-back, and then also, how am I going to keep my squad fresh? So at this point, it's probably more of a fair time to say, how would you describe Brendan Rodgers' management to date, Matt?
To date, it's top class, isn't it? I think pretty much everything he tries, not absolutely everything, but most of what he tries comes off in terms of tactics and approach or personnel or substitutions or little tweaks within the game, where he changes the system or changes the approach, and 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, it comes off, doesn't it? I think 1 or 2 questions he'll probably even ask himself in the big games. He'll ask himself, like, why haven't they performed against the big 4, isn't it? Liverpool twice, Man United and Man City, isn't it? And they've come up short. And I don't know whether they've changed their tack a little bit, or whether in those games, or whether it was the quality of the opposition that forced them into changing or pressured them into changing. Probably a bit of both. But he's got to be absolutely delighted, doesn't he, for his time, the transformation
from where he is, from where he started from.
The amount of time, the progress they made, it's well ahead of schedule, isn't it?
Well, this time last year we were looking at the Newport game, one of the darkest games in the last couple of seasons for Leicester City.
And we're getting sort of lackadaisical about winning 2-0, going through to the next round. There's almost, no one's moaning, but people are like, could have been better, but didn't really excite. and just be grateful. Job's done.
Yeah.
You know.
But
Move on.
on that day, it was a case of, there's quite a few changes going on here. Not sure about this. Whereas today, all the changes happened, but no one really batted an eyelid, Nev.
No, I think the crowd were. We said 30,000. I thought was a terrific crowd tonight for a game that isn't part of the season ticket holders. They've had to pay, to come. So over 30,000 just shows
Time of year and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the number of games. And you've got the big semi-final, as it were, coming up on Wednesday. So you can expect almost virtually a full house, I should think, on Wednesday. So, the fans now accept that for various games, Brendan Rodgers will make changes. Now, in past years, there'd have been complaints galore, wouldn't they, about you're not treating the FA Cup right, and why are you doing for another manager? But I think now the fans have got that much trust in what Brendan Rodgers is doing, and they've got the same belief that the what we call perhaps the fringe players, but aren't, but the part of the squad is so strong that whatever he decides to do, he's doing it for the right reasons, and he's looking, to win games. And it seems to be working.
Let's get it right. That team that Brendan put out tonight would probably cost more than every championship side squad.
Yeah.
So when you talk about fringe players, you're talking about fully fledged internationals not getting a regular start.
Yeah.
So that's why when I go on the squad, you've got tens of millions of pounds worth of players who sit on a bench every week. And that's why you have to treat them and you have to give them the respect that they deserve. But for coming here in the first place, they want to play football. And so if Brendan sees that in training, if he sees that hunger, if he sees that desire from the players that aren't getting regular starts, then by right, he has to respect the players and give them a chance when he sees fit. And that's exactly what he's done. The players have shown that appreciation to the manager by putting in the performances and getting the results that the club needs to stay where they are. And so it's all going tickety-boo.
I don't know where your fan club's arrived from, Matt. Tom says Matt Elliott is God. Steve says sign Matt Elliott.
Wrong way round. It's a dog.
Typo. And Jim says Matt Elliott sounds like he smokes 40 a day. So they're all out for you today. Paul says man of the match is Nev Folger. Nice to hear his voice. Haven't heard him in ages. There you go. He's always here. Make sure you listen to LCFC Radio to hear plenty more of Nev Folger and the husky tones.
No, don't put them off
Elliott.
Like that.
Also, Tom saying, I love Matt and Jerry, two obviously centre halves who can tell us all about what it's like to be a top-class defender. What did you make of Benkovic's performance and what we saw?
He looks assured, he looks silky. Didn't really come under any pressure though. Like if you're asking me to judge a centre half, I want to see a centre half put under pressure. I want to see a centre half, when the going gets tough, rise to the occasion. I didn't see that tonight from Benkovic, but that's not his fault. That's Wigan's fault. We've seen it. With Soyuncu when he first came in, he was asked the questions. He's come out with flying colours. I need to see that. I need to see Benkovic put under some really stressful situations, because at the end of the day, as a centre half, that's where you're judged, is how you deal with those split-second, pressurised situations. Do you come out on top making the right decisions? Are you physical? Are you up for the fight? And as I said, it's not Benkovic's fault. But other than that, he looks assured. He looks comfortable on the ball. He looks like he's got a football brain. He can move around the pitch, nice and smooth, let's say. But obviously another concern is him going off. He's had injury issues in the past. And it seems like he's got another one tonight. So the jury's out for me. But the signs look okay.
Yeah, I guess all you could really look at was his shape, the way he read the game today, and that first touch.
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, but he does look neat and tidy on the ball, doesn't he? He moves quite fluently for a centre half and manipulates the ball. He doesn't mind switching play. He looks for a pass that's actually going to hurt the opposition, from runs, from people out wide or Harvey Barnes spinning, etc. So he's got a bit of belief in his ability. I think you can see that straight away. But first and foremost, Joe says, You've got to prove your worth as a defender. And as yet, we haven't seen that. And, you wonder why he hasn't featured more than he has over a long period of time. I know injury's part of it. That's part of the reason.
He felt his way into the games, didn't he? You could say.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the sole reason he hasn't been featured, though, Tags. It's the injuries, is it? I think Brendan was maybe not quite sure.
All I'd say, if that was my first game and I'm trying to impress a manager, I'd be, like a dog chasing a bone. I'd be in everyone's ear pocket. I'd be trying to head every ball.
I don't think that's his style, Tags.
No, I know that. He's not a lunatic like you.
What
I'm saying is he sort of breezed through the game. He sort of kept himself away from trouble. Whether or not he was managing the game and just, trying to get through it, I don't know. But, if you're trying to impress on the manager to say, you should be looking at me, I'm the future. All I'm saying is that didn't come across.
That might be one of the issues, might be that might be his natural character way. Like to, I'll just do enough. I'll do enough, I won't do anything wrong. But playing Premier League, you need more than that. You've got to put yourselves up against. I know obviously he won't face in this instance, but how would he fare against Jamie Vardy?
Yeah, or
someone
Sergio
of that
Aguero.
ilk. Someone who's. I don't know. Which time will tell. Hopefully the injury's not too bad.
I thought there was one impressive moment in the second half from him when he burst forward.
Yes,
he should have been played back in.
But he showed a lot of pace, I thought, there when he broke forward,
he's a good footballer.
and it looked good.
Yeah, Andrew says, I just want to see Benkovic stay fit. He's got a lot of promise, I believe. And a question coming in from Nikesh. Jerry, is Soyuncu better than you were? How can you put him on the spot like that?
Not for him.
It's not for him to say. Matt Elliott.
Well, let's put it this way.
Soyuncu's 5 times a player.
He's got more pace than I have.
You reckon?
He's better on the ball than I was. Slightly better on the ball.
I don't know about that, son.
Well, he can play with his left foot and his right foot. My right foot was basically just a hack and stick.
To be fair, on reflection, your left foot
No.
wasn't much either.
The only area I'll say I'm better than Soyuncu is goals to games ratio.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your answer.
Similar athletes.
So far. But aggression-wise, I love him. He's right out of my league of centre halves. If there's a ball there to be won, let's get all over it. Let's get tasty.
Has he surprised you this season, Jerry?
Yes, but in a really good way.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I'm all over him.
He has been. I mean, we saw the game when he played against Chelsea in the under-23s, and he was suspect to say the least on the day. And I must admit, I was thinking, "Oh, what's happening here?" In his defence, he was up against Callum Hudson-Odoi, wasn't he? The game we watched down at Aldershot, and Odoi was on fire, and I don't think Soyuncu was prepared for that level of performance. But then maybe there was a little bit of an eye-opener for him. Like, hang on a minute, this is just a development squad, and there's players like this. So when you get ready for the Premier League, you know what you're coming up against. But he's got himself there, and he looks the real deal.
Well,
Doesn't he?
it's some replacement for Maguire, isn't he?
Oh,
fantastic.
I tell you what, who it benefits more than anybody is Johnny Evans or Wes Morgan, because they've got someone there who's willing to do whatever Johnny Evans tells him to do or whatever Wes Morgan tells him to do, with no fear of repercussion, no fear of answering back. That guy wants to learn, Soyuncu. He wants to be the best he possibly can. And with Johnny Evans alongside him, he'll just talk him through games, tell him when to go and be aggressive, tell him when to stand up and say, no, you can't win it, just force him backwards, stuff like that. Cover me, stuff, all the, yes, his English needs to get a bit better.
Talking,
just constantly talking to him. But for Johnny Evans, it's like, well, all I do is stand here and talk to him and cover him. So it's a great compliment. The pair of them together, along with Wes, if Wes fills in, it's a great compliment for each other.
And he's got that rare asset, like blistering pace.
Yes,
he has got
centre
pace.
half. And I mean blistering.
Yeah.
Because he outstripped Mo Salah, didn't he, a couple of times, and even at Anfield, ball was played in, Anfield crowd up on their feet. Oh, Salah's in. Oh, sorry.
The potential's
Who's this
endless.
bloke? Where's he come from?
For him. It's endless.
Let's head down to the tunnel because we can hear from Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers.
Brendan, a thoroughly professional performance and into the fourth round of the FA Cup.
Yeah, I think that was the key for us. We also were very process driven, and we looked to to play well also in a performance. I didn't think we played particularly well, to be honest. I thought it was too bitty. We didn't really control the game as much as what we would like. However, we had moments of quality that won us the game, and like I say, the players give everything. You know, they give the very best in the game, which they always do, very committed, and that was enough for us to get the result.
You've talked a lot about the quality and the strength and depth of the squad, and I know you maybe said they didn't play as well as you'd hoped for, but it was still a win and another clean sheet.
Yeah, but it's about performance. You know, I think that over time, if you want to sustain results, then performance is very, very important. So, and like I say, Wigan are a good side. They've picked up recently in the last 5-6 games. You can see their technical quality and the movement's good, and they've got some fast players. So yeah, it was always going to be a test for us, and especially in the recent history in the Cup. But we got the job done, and that was important. Pleased for the players, but like I say, we have to demand that we're better in our performance and play better.
Seemed Harvey was in that central position, particularly in the first half. What was your assessment on him in the game?
Yeah, he it was a little bit unfamiliar for him, but he's played there before as a youth player and when he was out at West Brom. So he can threaten the back line. We wanted to try and bring him underneath a little bit more than what happened. But like I say, he got a goal. He was a threat, and with his pace and his power, and I think that was probably the key for us today, that physicality. But we need to have a better football idea with how we want to perform with some of the players.
Both starting central defenders, Wes and Philip, had to come off in the game. Have we got updates on those?
Wes looks like he's maybe torn his groin, so we have to confirm that. But that was the initial diagnosis of that. And Philippe had a sore knee, so again we'll see how that is.
Perfect. Just finally, obviously Aston Villa up next here at King Power Stadium in the week. It's a different cup competition, but a semi-final nonetheless. Yeah,
no, it's a really exciting game we're looking forward to, and like I say, with the first leg at home, I think if we can, it'd be nice to take a lead into the second leg. But again, another tough game, but we've been able to recover some players today and look to get into that game really fresh and really intense.
Dan Bates talking to Leicester City manager Brendan Rodgers after today's FA Cup win over Wigan. Jerry, fair to say you're not overjoyed with the performance, but kind of seen it as it was a job done, but there's plenty of improvement to make.
I think he's been very diplomatic there, Brendan, wasn't he? But to me, obviously not too happy with it. And I could sort of see that from the sideline. He spent a lot of time with his hands in his pockets. So there was obviously parts of the game he wasn't too happy with, and again, you know, Brendan's come out and yes, they've won the game, but he's not happy. You know, that's how it reads to me. And if you're reading between the lines, and that just shows you the hunger and desire that he has as a manager. That, you know, and you know, he said that if you want to be consistent for a long period of time in this game, then the performances have to be at a certain level, and he felt tonight that they weren't at that level that he's used to seeing.
And just before we let you go, let's have a quick look ahead to Wednesday. Just a few days to go until that big game against Aston Villa, and a totally different occasion once more.
Yeah, again, you know, a pressurised situation. You know, it's a semi-final. Okay, it's the first leg of a semi-final, and I suppose neither team will want to lose it. Leicester will be the favourites. They will be looking to win it, but they've got to go in there full of confidence. You know, the favourites for a reason. They've showed time and time again this season that after, you know, a bit of disappointment, they bounce back. They've won a game tonight, making 10 changes. So full steam ahead in the Wednesday night for me.
Thanks so much. Jerry Taggart, part of the LCFC radio team. He'll be back with us, of course, on Wednesday for the pre-match pint, starting things off ahead of that game against Aston Villa. We've also got Tony Cottee and Richard Stearman for company, and Matt Elliott on commentary duties. Before we speak any more about today's game at King Power Stadium, here's some reaction from other games that have happened in the FA Cup and some of the shocks.
Team changes, including 5 youngsters making debuts, but Watford boss Nigel Pearson says it was essential to protect the squad in their fight against relegation. Tranmere boss Mickey Mellon says the replay will gladden the heart of the bank manager and the fans. Both sets of supporters here enjoyed an FA Cup tie full of drama, with Tranmere coming back from 3 down at half-time to deservedly earn that replay. On this evidence, the FA Cup has not lost its magic. Watford 3, Tranmere 3.
Sheffield Wednesday boss Gary Monk praised his side's response to a run of 3 championship defeats after knocking Premier League Brighton out of the FA Cup to reach the 4th round. Adam Reach scored the winning goal, a deflected shot after a well-worked free kick. He called it a perfect away performance. Brighton made 7 changes and they were really poor after some impressive recent performances in the Premier League. Boss Graham Potter admits it could have affected his team's fluidity, but that they had enough on the pitch to win the game. Albion reached the semi-finals of the FA Cup last season. This time they've fallen at the first hurdle. Wednesday into the 4th round of the FA Cup. Brighton and Hove Albion 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1.
Fulham boss Scott Parker wants his side to use their 2-1 FA Cup victory over Aston Villa as a momentum builder. 2 stunning strikes helped the Championship side knock out the Premier League club. Parker says the FA Cup will always be important to him, but by contrast, Dean Smith says it's lost its sparkle. The Villa boss made 10 changes today and says the competition wasn't a priority for them. Instead, his focus turns to a League Cup semi-final with Leicester on Wednesday and Premier League survival. At Craven Cottage, it finished Fulham 2, Aston Villa 1.
There we go, just some of the games in the FA Cup and some of the surprises. Fulham beating Aston Villa, Sheffield Wednesday beating Brighton, Tranmere taking Watford to a replay. How do we do on our FA Cup shocks? Anyone
I
get
got
any?
2 out of 3.
Yeah, I got Sheffield Wednesday and Fulham.
Yeah.
Same with you.
We got them, didn't we?
I went for Luton. They got battered
Preston,
in the end.
Norwich, Preston lost 4.
I told you it'd be a shock at Fleetwood. Portsmouth won.
No. Not having him.
Yeah, you edging your bets there, never. Either way, you could lose, could you? Unless it was a draw.
Man City didn't really look like losing today.
No, I think it's time for you to go home, Nev.
Yeah.
Right, let's hear what happened.
That lad Pope
Go on.
scored, didn't he?
He did.
He was giving it a bit of John Stones' bit of grief, wasn't he, not so long back? Did you see that?
No, not seen that.
He was criticising Stones, basically saying if I played against him, I'd score every week. I score 40 a year, even though he said he's much better than me all round. He's come up trumps, like he got a goal, to be fair.
He's got a goal.
Actually got 4, but there you go.
Right then, plenty more reactions come. We will hear from Mark Albrighton and Harvey Barnes as well. But if you've missed any of the action today, here's what happened at King Power Stadium.
King Power Stadium opens its doors for the first time in 2020, and in a year that promises so much, the year opens with back-to-back cup games here at the home of the Foxes. Barnes was well holding it up on this near side on the halfway line. Great precise pass by Damari Gray. It's Albrighton left of the penalty area. Tries to roll it across the Barnes, but it's an own goal by the debutant Pearce. Leicester strike first in the FA Cup tie. Gray and Albrighton linking up. The unfortunate youngster Pearce sending it past David Marshall. Leicester won't mind how the goals come, as long as they come, and they lead by a goal to nil. Barnes looking for a 1-2 with Chowdhury. Might fall for Harvey Barnes, was he pulled back? It was a save by Marshall. Lovely link-up play on the edge of the 18-yard area. Gray and Chowdhury both involved. Nearly released Barnes right to the 6-yard area. He got his shot in, didn't seem to have an arm on his shoulder, just pulling him back slightly, but Leicester nearly finding another goal so quickly after the first. And Chilwell can come away with the ball for Leicester. Wigan players saying the ball should be played out, but Chilwell continuing his run. Barnes to the left, Albrighton to the right. It's Barnes onto his right foot, deflected and in! Harvey Barnes on the score sheet for the Foxes for the first time since September. And it's a well-taken finish as Leicester break from one end to the other. And eventually it fell to Barnes in the penalty area, got it onto his right foot, a shot that deflected and looped beyond Marshall, out of his reach, and slowly it dropped over the line just before half-time. Leicester City double their lead in the FA Cup and then lead 2-0. Close to the halfway line as he goes past Mendes in the centre of the field now, onto Gelhardt, holding off Soyuncu. It's moved to the left, it's Pearce, there's plenty forward in red, and it's a goal from Lowe. 6 yards out, caught that one sweetly. Pearce with the assist, make it up maybe for the own goal he scored in the first half. The goal has really come from nowhere, but Wigan find themselves back in this game. He's been given offside. The player who sent him for the assist, his knee is offside. And Leicester fans celebrate, and Danny Ward has a clean sheet intact. Over hit to Massey, Albrighton can touch it on to Damari Gray, two central defenders in front of him, edge of the area, onto his left boot, Gray just wide with the help of Marshall, who's got a weak hand to it to turn it around the post. Dealt up, edge of the area, looked to take strike, and then James Justin arrived and took it from him as he swung his left boot to the ball that wasn't there. Barnes has carried the ball forward for Leicester, he's into the Wigan 18-yard area, Harvey Barnes, saved by Marshall. That would have been some goal from Harvey Barnes, and that is full time. And Leicester are through to the fourth round of the FA Cup, easing themselves past Championship side Wigan. Just one defeat now in their last 13 home games.
Every step of Leicester City's Emirates FA Cup campaign is covered right here on LCFC Radio.
Leicester City into the next round of the FA Cup. 2-0 winners against Wigan at King Power Stadium. Already done a better job than they did last season in this competition, so I'll be happy with that, Matt, even if it wasn't the slickest of performances.
No, but I think there's factors and reasons for that, aren't there? One, the schedule that they've had. There have been changes with personnel, and we talk about how good the squad is, and the level of it as a whole, but it was a little bit disjointed at times today, but still steady enough. Jerry said that he could detect a bit of, not anger, but a bit of disappointment in Brendan's voice. I'm not as sure about that. I think he understands that the type of game it was. He did say, well, we didn't control the game as well as we could have, but they were always in command, really, weren't they? Okay. The goal, you're talking inches, could have gone either way that they conceded, and then maybe it's a different kettle of fish, but you felt if Leicester needed to step it up, they could do it at any stage of the game, really. All round, it wasn't scintillating, but it was reasonably impressive in its own way.
Yeah, well, Wigan be happy with their contribution to today's game, especially second half, stopping Leicester from furthering their lead.
Yeah, I think they'll be slightly disappointed. They made 6 changes, to their side. Now, I don't know whether that strengthened or weakened the Wigan team, but yeah, I would have thought they didn't let themselves down, did they? Really, I thought they on the counter they played some nice football. They hadn't really got any finishing power. Ward only had to make one save really. The goal that was disallowed, I thought, was a beautiful move, and they got the ball in quickly, and it was a good finish. So they were a bit unlucky in that respect. That again, as Matt said, it was only inches, but that's what VAR's been doing all season, and every match you seem to find, that somebody's arguing, oh, it's only this, that, and the other. They were arguing about somebody's big toe, weren't they, the other weekend on being a big toe offside or something.
They won't be used to that either, Wigan.
No, well, they won't have had it. They won't have had it, will they? But I think you made the fair point as well, Lewis, that not everybody, not all these FA Cup ties are going to have the VAR, which strikes me as odd, if that's the case.
It's either all or nothing, isn't it?
Well, really, if one has, if some are having it, all of them should have it under the same rules, surely.
Who knows? Just another side of VAR we don't know about. Yeah. Wigan sit in the Championship just below the line for the relegation zone, so they're a point away from safety. It's a strange league. It's such a competitive league, isn't it? Did you see enough fight from Wigan today in that side of things? Because that's as much a part of it as sometimes your footballing quality, isn't it, in that league?
Yeah, well, they didn't look to be lacking any spirit, really. I thought Morsey was in midfield, was really trying to put himself about. Physically, he was a handful, and
Kipre as well, the defender, bleached blonde hair. He made a couple of interceptions, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He panicked a little bit when Hamza, in particular and Demarai Gray were closing him down on times. But Windass, and you'd think Windass and Williams would cause teams a few problems in the Championship. Hard-working, bustling, perhaps not enough flair maybe, to end of the day. You're saying about the goal threat, it wasn't really there, even though they looked quite purposeful in some of their build-up play, hustling and bustling, but when it push came to shove, they didn't really cause too many problems, and that's where we're going to come up short probably.
I don't know whether because I don't see Wigan play, but I don't know whether they play the same style in the Championship, but I don't know whether they perhaps changed to try and keep a bit of possession tonight. Again, because they were playing
play
Leicester.
Like that. I haven't seen much.
Yeah,
Paul Cook, manager, he likes to play good football.
Yeah, I think the Championship is not quite the place to be trying to play that style of football.
I think it is if you've got the capability.
But
you need the personnel. There's no trying to play total football Dutch team of the 70s if you haven't got the players with individual capabilities. No. But I thought that was a little bit of their downfall today. I thought Leicester were just patient and almost waiting for a mistake. If they press and squeeze reasonably well, sooner or later they'll make a mistake in a key area, and then Leicester pick the ball up and have an opportunity, and that proved to be the case indirectly.
And I think the only thing that Brendan Rodgers really would be disappointed about in the performance was the final pass each time. There was a lot of opportunities that Leicester had with good movement and everything else, but they were letting themselves down with a poor pass, towards the end of the move, and I think that will have niggled Rodgers really, that we didn't complete moves that looked good and should have created something better from them.
Yeah, final execution, decision making wasn't quite there, was it?
Well, the first goal he was certainly involved in. The second goal he scored, and he picked up the Man of the Match award from Jerry Taggart. So let's hear from Harvey Barnes now. He's talking to Dan Bates.
Harvey, a goal for yourself and through to the next round of the FA Cup. A pleasing evening.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we're at our best tonight. But I think sometimes in the cup, you just got to make sure that you get through. And of course, myself, really happy to start the year with a goal.
It seemed they were a good side as well, Wigan. You had to really show your professionalism out there this evening. Yeah. I think before the game we knew that they had quality in their side. We knew that they could hurt us if we weren't at it. Obviously, they had the goal disallowed, but throughout that, they looked dangerous at times. But I thought in general we defended well. We minimised their chances. But as I say, I think we know that we can perform better than that. As you said, a goal for yourself. You're in that central position. How did you find that today?
Yeah, it was a different role for me today, but I enjoyed it. Obviously playing central, but I had the freedom to sort of drop into the pocket. But I really enjoyed it up there. Obviously got my goal, so really happy with that.
What's the main difference? We've seen you mainly operating from the left-hand side this season. What's the main difference when you go central?
I think when you get on the ball, you just have more options to, obviously sometimes if you're wide, you've got the touch line, so you can't go that way. When you're central, you can go either way. I think just sort of getting in the box, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to just get in dangerous positions and hopefully get goal scores. And when you got a goal, obviously you did your job, didn't you? Yeah, definitely. It wasn't the prettiest goal, but you take any goal. I'm really happy with that. Aston Villa up next, different cup competition on Wednesday, but a huge semi-final. How excited are you all for that one? Yeah, I think everyone's really excited for that. We had to get today out of the way, get through, which we did, and then all the focus will be on that. We've played them this season already, but we'll be expecting a different contest. We'll be wanting to get through that, obviously win the first leg, and then we'll have to obviously go there and do it again. But yeah, everyone's really excited. Looking to put in a good performance and hopefully come away with a win.
Harvey Barnes talking to LCFC Radio's Dan Bates there, of course, getting himself on the score sheet. He was picked as the man of the match from Jerry Taggart this evening as well. Good game for Harvey Barnes, but also we've talked about how he's developed and also having a little bit of frustration this season, some bits not going his way. One thing that he can be absolutely congratulated with is the way and his manner, his mentality, to find himself consistently in the starting 11, then for it just to drop every now and then. it takes something to actually get yourself back up and make sure you're focused.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he seems very mature, doesn't he, Harvey? The way he comes across, he speaks well, tender age that he's at. He's getting more game time than he probably thought he was going to this season, which is credit to him and Brendan Rodgers for having the faith in him, because he can see what most people can see, that there is an exceptional talent there. Sometimes flatters to deceive a little bit, but he's still developing, and just waiting. I'm still waiting for it to click properly. I thought he was excellent tonight. That role suited him, certainly against Championship opposition. Would he do it in the Premier League? Don't know. But I agree with Harvey's own point there. He said, and it suits him, because it just seems a little bit restricted at times when he's out wide. He can go on the outside, but naturally cutting in on his right, and he gets blocked out quite a few times. It has to be a perfect give and go and a finish that he's looking for to execute. But it's easier said than done. But essentially, when he was younger, he used to play like attacking forward midfield role there, and his timing of runs into the box was superb. He used to get numerous goals at it at that level like that, and I think he's got that capability and that awareness when to make the runs, when to he can join the front man, he can play just in behind. He's got so many dimensions to his game. But really pleased for him today. I thought he did well. He did better than even I probably expected in that centre forward role. But obviously Brendan Rodgers had seen something and had faith in him.
The honest answer is, though, he's not going to be playing there. So does he come back in against Villa for you after tonight's performance in a wide area?
This is the question all the time, isn't it? As I said, when I first saw the side, I thought, Damari Gray will play down the middle. So I was quite surprised when it was Harvey Barnes. But quite clearly, Brendan Rodgers had put him down there for a reason. And he obviously wanted to see how he could fare in that sort of role. And quite rightly, I think Jerry's absolutely right on. He would have been my man of the match. I suspect it might have been Matt's.
I think, Harvey and Hamza between them.
So, if Vardy's fit, nobody's going to replace Vardy in that role. And I don't think Brendan Rodgers is ever going to use two out-and-out strikers. I think Vardy is happier just being a sole striker anyway, isn't he?
I was just going to ask that question. I think he may well do on Wednesday.
You think he might?
Only because against Villa before,
he did at Villa Park.
He put Iheanacho and Vardy up there, didn't he? And they caused havoc, didn't they?
So do you think Barnes might replace Iheanacho as a second striker up there?
On Wednesday, no.
Untested.
No, I think if Vardy is fit, which we seem to be assuming he is.
Well, it sounds as though he will be.
I don't know why we're that confident.
No.
In fact, he hasn't featured in the last three. But why not? I mean, Brendan likes to surprise the opposition. And I mean, why not apply? Will Villa change from how they did it before, how they set up before? Because if not, why change what worked so well?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the tunnel area and hear from Mark Albright, and he's talking to Dan Bates.
Mark, congratulations through to the next round of the FA Cup. How was that performance out there?
I think the performance probably not up to scratch, but I think the main thing today was the result. These games, they're never easy. Teams come here and make it very difficult. They try and implement their game on us, and this is a massive game for them, and they try the very best, and it's always tough to sort of get going, and there was a lot of stoppages today. I thought with a couple of VARs, and there was a few injuries, so there was no real rhythm to the game. But like I said, the main thing, get through to the next round, and that's what we did.
It seemed as a team you had to be very professional and use a lot of Premier League experience out there to get through the game. Yeah, I think you always have to be professional in these games. If you take your foot off the gas slightly, then you let a team in, and it gives them confidence. You've not got to give them that little bit of hope to hold on to. You've got to do all the right things and do them well. We probably didn't do the basics today and keeping possession, but we certainly worked hard, and that's what's scraped us through. We've talked a lot about the hunger in this group to progress and do well in cup competitions. Obviously, there's a semi-final on the horizons and through to the next round already here.
Yeah, these are our targets. We're on track for all of our targets that we set ourselves at the start of the season. So we've got to be pleased with that. And it's coming off the back of it's in the middle of a very busy period. So the use of the squads been good to us. We've used everyone, we've needed everyone, and we'll continue to do so in January.
You had the captain's armband for a lot of the evening. How proud did that make you?
Yeah, it does. I think this couple of times now, and to captain this great club is incredible. It's something that I'm not used to, but it's always an honour to do so, and I'll look back on that.
Just finally, Aston Villa, your old club. Are you excited for that one on Wednesday?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. Going to be a good game. The atmosphere will be electric as always here and under the lights. So we can expect a big occasion, but we need to again be professional and make sure that we don't slip up and make sure that we get the job done there as well.
Mark Albrighton talking to LCFC Radio's Dan Bates there. Yeah, really nice moment actually when Wes Morgan went off and passed the captain's armband on to him, and little embrace between the pair, and obviously meant a lot to Mark Albrighton.
Oh, did you like that?
Yeah, very nice. Very sweet.
Yes, it was. It was one of the more pleasant moments this evening. Yeah, listen, he's a great pro, and he's a very decent player as well. Underrated even now. Maybe not by Leicester City supporters, but general football people, but his worth to the squad is huge. I think in terms of his personality as well, like he's down to earth. He just gets on with business, sets an example for other players, not just younger players, people throughout the squad. How to carry yourself, how to be as a professional footballer. Spot on attitude, Mr. Reliable, with a sprinkling of quality as well. So great player to have here.
Yeah, and slots straight back in every time he comes in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he plays on Wednesday, because he's going to have a few choices, Brendan Rodgers. So, the only...
He's got genuine choices now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and whoever... I don't think there's... In times gone by, people have played, your supporters, or you might even say it yourself, didn't you? You go, oh, what's he doing there? Yeah. Even if it's just privately. How's he getting?
Yeah.
Why has he picked him?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't happen now.
You don't get that now, do you?
No. And as I said earlier, whatever side Brendan Rodgers picks, I'm sure the supporters are backing it, because I think they've got so much trust now that he makes the right decisions, and 9 times out of 10 he does. So it'll be interesting to see the sort of side he does pick. And, Matt's hinted, he might go with 2 strikers.
Just mulling it over what he did before against Villa, and it worked.
Yeah, it could well be right, Matt. But it gives him this huge chance of either changing the system or going with his tried and trusted. And Albrighton is one of his tried and trusted. But does he look for the pace of Barnes down the flanks after the performance tonight? He's put himself forward. Will Vardy be fit? That's another question we have to wait and answer. But at the moment, it looks as though he should be. Does Iheanacho come back into the side? So he's got all these things to sort out, and whatever happens, it should be a cracking match.
Well, they're all the questions that will be answered on Wednesday evening. Nev, Matt, thank you for your time today. Thank you for listening to us here on LCFC Radio. So, a win against Wigan in the FA Cup was capped off by a goal from Harvey Barnes, and Leicester City are in the hat for the next round. See you Wednesday.
Albrighton left the big penalty area. Tried to roll it across the Barnes, but it's an own goal by the debutant Pierce. It's Barnes onto his right foot, deflected and in! Harvey Barnes on the score sheet for the Foxes.
For more in-depth analysis, reaction and extended highlights, head to lcfc.com.